Hey, what's up guys? So I want to make this video for anybody who was like me and was having a problem figuring it out and pulling out their hair, trying to figure out what was going on with their O2 sensor. I took my 2011 Jeep Wrangler in for smog and it failed. And it failed just because the O2 sensor wasn't ready. The guy said, go drive it. I've got a couple of cars. I hadn't driven the Jeep in a while, so I figured he said something about the battery being weak and maybe go drive it around. And so I drove it for a couple of hours, went through drive cycles. I Googled and found some drive cycles, went through those, took it back, still was not checking out the O2 sensor. It said not ready on the little device. So I went and bought a little device, drove it around more, started reading, looking at videos. There were no codes. I was finding videos where there were codes and how to clear the codes, and a lot of opinions on the O2 sensor. I like working on things. I ended up buying 4 O2 sensors. I installed 2, took it for about a 4-hour drive, nothing. Went and bought the other 2. My Jeep has 4 O2 sensors. They're all the same. They're just different links and wires. Found that out also. Different model numbers, and but they're all the same. So I put in 2 more, drove it for a few more hours, a couple more days, still nothing. And I read a forum where a guy was saying it might be the short-term fuel trim. And with that, it might not be getting enough gas. And sure enough, I plugged it up to a better computer that I borrowed from O'Reilly's. And it was showing me that it might not be getting enough fuel. Long story short, I put some fuel treatment in it, which I know I shouldn't have done. I do it at the last resort. Put the fuel treatment in, rode it around for another couple of days. Still nothing, still wasn't passing. The O2 sensor was still not ready. And I went back to a forum that I had first read when I first started looking through all this. And he had said, your battery is just barely weak. It's possible that the O2 sensors aren't ready just because the battery is weak. And my battery was a year old, and I took it up to O'Reilly's and traded it in for a new battery. They had seen me a lot, so they told me, yeah, just take a new battery, and they swapped it out for nothing. Oh, another thing I had done was change the spark plugs in the coil, the ignition coil, and all the wires. I had read another thing, probably needed it anyway, 60,000 miles. Change those out. Anyway, last resort, I was thinking, well, just try the battery thing. Should have done that first. Put the battery in, drove it for about 2.5 hours, took it home, wasn't ready, again, failed. And woke up the next morning and I thought, just check it out and see if it's working. And plugged it in and it had a green check mark, everything passed. So today I took it to smog, it was still showing green and it passed. Who knows if all of those things together worked, but it worked a day after I got a new battery in the car. So if anybody's having problems with the O2 sensors not being ready, maybe try that first, drive it on a couple hours and see if that helps. Yeah, so I just want to make a video to kind of, if you're sifting through videos about your O2 sensor not being ready, this is what worked for me. Might not work for you. You might have code showing. I had no code showing, and yeah, it worked out. So new battery, drove it for a few days, or drove it for a couple hours, and it checked out the next day. So also to know, if you are disconnecting the battery, reconnecting the battery, connecting a new battery, a lot of your sensors are not going to be ready for a little bit. So my CAT was down, my evap was down. There were 2 more. HVAC was down, I believe. HVAC, is that a thing? Yeah, I think that's a thing. There were 4 or 5 sensors that were not ready immediately when you plug in a new battery. Some of those are solved in 5 minutes, and some of those are solved over an hour or so of driving. So anyway, 4 minutes in, if you've hung out with me, that's the gist of the video. Get a new battery first. Yeah, so hope that helps, and happy Jeeping.